Loading snacks.
What it do, snackers, snackettes, and snack X's? It's your boy Gage. I'm here with Sin. Special guests, Jerry, the franchise Gaylord, and Adam Butler. It is time for another episode of Spoiler Boys.
Spoiler boys.
Spoiler boys.
Yeah.
Hey.
Spoiler boys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bringing it down. I like it. I like it. We are here to spoil episode 7 of X-Men 97. Keeping Disney Plus alive right now.
Yeah, man.
Facts.
For real.
For sure. I want to welcome back Adam officially. We missed you last week.
Appreciate
it. Back and we are ready to hear your thoughts on this episode.
Go.
I want to do something a little different before we start getting into like the specifics of the show. We haven't done this for any of the episodes so far. I want to go around. Why are you smiling, Sam?
Because I realized we hadn't been doing that, so I knew he was going. Okay.
I want to go around. I just want to get like a grade for this episode from everybody before we start. And then at the end, I want to see if that grade changes at all.
Okay.
So right now, Sam, 1 out of 10, where are you sitting on this episode?
I am sitting at an 8.5.
8
I
and
can
a
push
half.
to a 9. Yeah, I can push to a 9.
But you could push to a 9.
I could probably push to a 9. Yeah.
Adam?
Yeah, I think I'm about the same actually. I'm about an 8.5 for real. Yeah, I'll explain why later when we get into it. But
Sure.
yeah.
Jerry?
I'm biased, man. I'm giving this thing a 9.5. The only reason it's not a 10 is because it's not episode 5. You know what I mean?
I thought you would say it was the Cyclops focused or something.
Yeah.
No. You know.
Come on. We went through that already. You know what? I'm gonna tell you something. I think I'm sitting at like a 7. But I could be persuaded. You know what I'm saying? One way or the other. Let me just say one way. I don't think I could be persuaded down. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I think I'm pretty set where that is. And since all of y'all are higher than me, I wouldn't expect that anything we're going to have happen in this conversation is going to make me think less. If anything, it may come up. But I think I'm at a 7. And I'm going to say that I think it's just because the last couple of episodes are so hard to come, you know what I mean, to follow.
Yeah.
And this is another, like last week's episode, this is another kind of one of those in between. This is a transitional episode.
Yeah.
There's a lot happening, and I like what's happening.
Yeah.
So, let's dig into it a little bit. This episode, I will say, shocked me from Jump Street, because we open with Gambit's funeral. And I was not expecting that, because so often, you just get used to it's comic book stuff, man. It's like we don't even have to do that.
Yeah.
He's dead or he's not. We don't really, maybe he's not really dead or he's going to come back. Or we've already talked about like the Watcher being in the episode. So like these different realities and whatever, it's not really real. And one of my complaints, not really complaints, but my concerns when we talked about the future of the show on past episodes was doing something that was as significant as what happened in episode 5 with Gambit's death, and then not doing the necessary things to make it feel like it actually mattered. Right? That it, whatever. He's going, by the end of the season, he's going to be alive or whatever. And like, so it didn't really matter.
Right.
And I find that a lot of times they kind of take that away from you. You get it. You feel that emotional piece. And then they do something in the end to undo it or whatever it is. And it makes it feel like it didn't make sense or it wasn't. Was anybody else surprised that we started with this funeral at all?
I wasn't surprised. I see why you work. As you explained, I completely understand what you're saying. but I wasn't surprised because of the tone of the show. I didn't get to talk about last week's episode, so I'm not here to talk about that one.
Sure.
But last week's episode really cemented what I was saying about episode 5, which is the most surprising thing about this series as a whole, which is that it's a lot more adult than I expected it to be.
Mm-hmm.
So because I expect an adult tone, and that is proven with stuff that happens later on in the episode, I'm not surprised that they had a funeral for a character with like a compelling eulogy for the character.
Yeah.
I've come to expect that from this show. I no longer look at this show, and I haven't for a while, probably after episode 2. I no longer look at this show as like the same show that was on in the 90s.
Yeah.
Grown with us. I said that last time. So I'm not surprised by any content like that. I think that that was almost necessary for the episode.
Okay. I mean, I agree that it was necessary.
Yeah.
Sin, as in, we've discussed this already, but like as an avid fan of Gambit, Rogue and Gambit are your two favorite X people, period.
100%.
Right. To start the episode with that, did it make it feel more real for you? That's what it did for me. I think it just made it feel like it actually mattered.
I think so. It did feel more real, seeing everybody being emotional around it and hearing Nightcrawler's eulogy, like you said. Seeing where Rogue not being there, like, okay, she's not there.
Yep.
She must be on her revenge tour right now. And sure enough, that's exactly what she was on. So, no, I thought it was me personally, I thought it was a great way to just open it up. Like, all right, let's get back. We all wanted to get back to what happened and know the outcome and all that stuff. We took a step back last week to deal with Storm and her issues, getting her powers back. So, the Flash to kind of go right back to where things kind of left off with the team as a whole and just starting with the funeral, I thought it was just a great opening to me personally. Like, all right, we get some little closure and some emotion, and all right, let's see what Rogue is up to now.
I dig it, Jerry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like, I think for me, not so like, you know, my internal information is a little bit different. So I think for me, watching, like, seeing a funeral in an animated show is unusual, right? So like I can kind of count them on one hand, like the ones that I remember. The one that I really remember sticking out to me, and y'all may not have even seen it, knowing y'all don't really mess with Superman like that. But in the Superman the animated series, there's a episode where Darkseid actually kills one of the police characters that is like a regular on the show, and like that it didn't happen in on TV. That was like a real, like, legit, like, kids show. And I
will say, Jerry, as far as animation funerals not being in it, you see it all the time in anime. So it wasn't something like left field for me to see. Like, all right, I'm used to watching people get killed and people got to funerals and stuff like that in anime. So, but
I completely feel you. Like, I just it in American content, like, it feels different. Like, you know, besides like Batman standing over his parents' grave, you know what I mean? Like, because in that Superman episode, like, they actually have like a real service for the character, and you know, there's like they're like singing, and like it's a whole thing, and it's like the emotional anchor to the episode. And then in this show, like, we have like this real serious funeral for a character that we all love, you know. And then to see like Rogue not being there, but like how Jubilee is responding to it, and like how each of the characters is sort of responding to Gambit, like it's crazy, and Magneto as well. So it's a different feel. It feels like Adam was saying, like, this is different. You know what I mean? Like the show is saying this is different. Take a look, and we're not skipping over the emotional baggage of what happened.
Yeah. I mean, again, oftentimes when you lose a character in animation. Look, even in like live action TV, right? Like if you grew up around soap operas, like I did, like people die, they come back. You know what I mean? They die, they come back. Like it's just, and we've gotten, I think, more and more used to seeing characters quote unquote killed off and not come back. And like inside and outside baseball, it's because of some kind of contractual issue or they wanted more money per episode or something else is going on, and so they kill them off or whatever. In a situation like this, you can tell that this is being used as a catalyst for what is coming, which they do show you in this episode. Like you're on this journey, that this is a catalyst for the characters around, but more specifically for Rogue. And again, we're gonna get into that. I do want to lodge a complaint because that's what I'm here for. Jerry, my guy, for like 2 weeks in a row, my man Nightcrawler is front and center in that opening, dog. And I still feel like Slim's not part of the team, bro. Like he's not. I can't.
He gave the eulogy.
Yo, can I say?
But nobody said you're an X-Men yet. I didn't see that scene.
I'm just saying, like, I don't. Last week I was like, oh snap, my man about to do something. Cause like, low key, Nightcrawler is one of my favorite characters. Period. Just how complex he is. For real, even his accent, like listen to how he talks, like what his abilities are. Like I just like Nightcrawler is just like he's incredible to me. So when they show him front and center, while my man swiping the double swords across with the X, I'm like, oh yeah, going down. We didn't get it last week. Okay. When it happened again this week, because I was like, yo, if they take him out of this joint, I'm gonna be fired up. I might turn the episode off. And then they start with him, and look, he's doing what he's supposed to do. He's delivering the eulogy. That's his place. I get that. I ain't quite there. Adam, you have words.
Yes, so I do. I do. Because I don't think they're a team right now. And I think that's kind of where this is going. I think that, and this is just how I read it. This may not even, this might be just how I am interpreting things. I think they're discombobulated right now. I think that what happened at Genosha is, and they kind of showed it in episode 5. We talked about it. We talked about how Cyclops was starting to go dark Cyclops, how there's little rifts in the team, in between the team. They show how even at the end there's some stuff that goes on that I'm sure we'll get to. I don't think they're a real team right now, so I don't think he's like officially on the team. I think he's traveling with them because he loves them, and obviously he's kind of related to Rogue and all this and that. And he was friends with Gambit, that connection of them knowing each other because of something of what happened on the original series. So there's that connection to Gambit. But I don't think they're like a team right now. I think to me, that's part of the drama of what's going on. What's going to happen with the X-Men? Cyclops going to be able to keep them together. And I think that, to me, that's how I read it. So I wasn't really looking for him to do like a team thing. I'm more interested in how do they keep the team together until the jolly old professor comes back. And will that even cause more rift and damage and what have you? So
probably
that's just my read on it.
Yeah, I mean, I dig it. Nightcrawler, Jubilee kind of snaps, right? Yeah. She's upset because Rogue's not there. Yep. Right? How could she not be here? He saved all of us. He saved her. He loves her. She is oblivious. Like, she doesn't know what happened on Genosha with Magneto and like none of them.
Just them three. Yeah, that was it.
I mean, well, Nightcrawler maybe knows a little. He was kind of there. Okay, but like I'm just saying, like as far as the rest of the team, like they're
they have no idea.
to that kind of like, well, they kind of broke up, you know what I'm saying? So that she could be with somebody else. So that, you know, and so they don't have an understanding of where Rogue is and like why she wouldn't be there. I do think that Wolverine's response to her is wise, that like grief is just, it's a beast and everybody has to deal with it in their own way. But then Nightcrawler says, yo, nah, dog, she's wise to be afraid, right? Because Rogue, for all intents and purposes, is the Superman on this team with no kryptonite. She's the one who, if she ever decides to snap and go rogue, like her name suggests, everybody's in trouble. Except maybe the Professor and Jean.
Yep, there's only two.
Everybody else,
they're having a hard day.
Wolverine is going to be thrown somewhere far away so that she just don't have to deal with him, aka Captain America.
Call it.
We're gonna get there. We're not there yet. We're gonna get there.
I was gonna say we going there. That's all right. We'll wait.
But we cut to Rogue.
Yeah.
On a mission.
Yeah.
Right? Search and destroy. I know some things, and I know some people who know some things. Bro, we talked like over the past couple of weeks about like that, like we saving up a little bit of this animation.
Yeah.
That when it's time to go,
yeah,
we can kick it into high gear. Let's talk about it. Because for real, Rogue is straight up pulling moves right out of the Capcom game.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that kick. Yeah.
Right out of the Capcom games, right? Bodying tanks, throwing, walking 90s/80s Ed 209 tanks across the joint.
Yeah.
Going ham. And I think that's important because I feel like even if you watched the OG episodes of this series, you don't really know what Rogue can do. You don't really know.
Yeah.
And if you certainly only had your experiences for real with the movies, the live action movies.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You have no idea. What Rogue can really do. You really probably mostly know she can fly and she can absorb other people's powers. Like that's what you know.
Yeah.
Most people don't really can't fathom the idea that she took Captain Marvel's powers, who put hands on Thanos, flying through ships and whatever. She's on a different level.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When it comes down to it. So when she shows up, my man General Ross.
I'm not gonna lie, when I saw that, I was like, Ross, ha ha. Like Avengers. I see you, Marvel. Okay, you're doing some things.
And also voiced by the same actor from What If that plays Ross.
Oh
yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. They my man say, gentlemen, need I remind you, we're in a facility built to contain the Hulk. Shorty, she ripped that thing open like a sardine. Right?
Yeah, she did.
I heard that.
I don't think y'all understand. Rogue will put hands on the Hulk, bro. If you think Thanos putting hands on the Hulk in live action was a thing, bro, if Rogue put hands on the Hulk, you gonna learn something. She got she's not to be played with. And I'm like, it's subtle. Because even then, there are people who might not quite put 2 and 2 together. Oh, he just don't know it. It could just be he just don't know what he's talking about. There's plenty of people who easily could just be like, clearly that joint that was built to hold the Hulk wouldn't hold the Hulk. They've never held the Hulk. You know what I'm saying? They would just be like, nah. She comes in that joint. Daddy always said,
yeah,
than it is getting out.
Yeah.
Where that boy Gyra got, sugar? You know what I'm saying?
And the one thing coming out of your mouth better be the location.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. He made it very clear. I thought you guys were supposed to be the good guys. Oh, they killed all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you get me. And
Yeah.
that's what Nightcrawler talking about. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hey, I was sitting, I was like, oh, Rogue on her business. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah.
If there is a person in the X-Men who you don't want to push down that path, it's just like the one.
Don't do it.
Yeah. I mean, that's
double grief.
Yeah.
Double grief.
Yeah.
They talking about Gambit.
Actually,
they not even thinking about Magneto.
I'm gonna say more than that. Probably more like a triple threat, because all those people that they like lost all those people along with the two people she was in love with. Like
she was there, and those two people were the people trying to save everyone else.
Yep.
Yeah.
She literally witnessed all of it from beginning to end.
There are plenty of other people who witnessed it.
Yeah.
They can't do what she can do. It's not the same.
Yeah.
It's not the same. So, like, we're going to take a brief moment to detour for a second. Kevin in Feige We Trust took over the comics. So he's doing the animation, the live action, and the comics now. It's all under him. And while we are seeing a lot of things that are happening in this show that call back to Echo or feel like they are going in the direction that we know comics in the past have already gone, it is for me right now more about where the comics are now and where the comics are currently going. So just for like on the day we're recording this, as of today, Marvel made an announcement about the new Uncanny X-Men series that is coming in the comics starting in August. Brand new run. Gail Simone, of all people, guess who's leading the X-Men? It's Rogue. Rogue is now leading the X-Men in the coming out of the ashes of what has happened with everything. And I'm like, we're not going to get into all the nitty gritty of exactly what's happening in the comics at the moment.
Yeah.
But the fact that in the comics, as a company, Marvel is leaning towards putting Rogue in the leadership role with Wolverine, with Gambit, like she's leading the team.
Yeah.
You look sick, Sin. You like, hold on a second.
No, that sound like a threat.
It is a threat. It's a threat. It's like, I'll send you the link.
Fair
I
enough.
probably should have sent it to you a long time ago. But I just feel like I'm just Wolverine, Rogue, Nightcrawler, Jubilee, Gambit.
Okay.
That's the squad.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
Rogue is running it. That says something to me, right? That the direction that we may have been thinking this was going might be a little different than what we may have seen. And having that heavy focus on Rogue in this episode and then having them drop that today, I was like, huh.
Yeah.
We might be up to something. So to kind of come back to where we are, Rogue's on a mission.
Yeah.
A murderous mission, if you will. I don't know how General Ross ended up because they don't show it. They cut.
Yeah.
You gotta give me some answers, Slim. You dealing with me.
Yeah.
I'm not
You
one of them.
some answers.
Clearly.
Yeah.
He told her something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. Because she ends up. Let's just get into it.
Yeah.
Shows up, snowy facility. I recognize that motorcycle.
Yeah.
That look like Cap's bike. I'm a little upset that he's still riding that old joint, but okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure. All right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Cap comes out like stand down.
Yeah.
Slim, who you talking to?
Right.
I'm gonna let one of y'all tell Cap to shut up for a second.
Yeah, no.
Jerry,
It's a
listen.
little mismatch right there.
Yeah.
It's a mismatch.
But I think
I
that's
know he can do this all day.
yeah.
No,
I don't know if you got all day with this one, bro.
Yeah.
You might have a
he
couple
can't.
minutes.
But I appreciate him being like, stand down.
Yeah.
Or what?
Yeah.
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 Cap, you my guy and all, but no, this ain't the tree you want to bark up, man. This ain't that one. Let this lady be.
Bro,
He say he's trying to he's trying to
threw the
show up
shit.
and feel in charge.
And
It's like if I
Yeah.
don't show no fear.
And I also think like Gage, you said a lot, right? And a lot of really great points, because there's a bigger thing going on, and then there's like the narrative of the show, right? You mentioned the comic books. In a way, not even in a way, this is a coming out party, just like Deadpool and Wolverine will be, for the X-Men in this world, right?
Yep.
So who's been the biggest, baddest dude other than the Hulk and Captain? But honestly, who's been the biggest, baddest dude in the MCU? It's been Cap. Cap has been like the gold standard. Cap shows up, everything's okay.
Everything's good. Yeah.
I think it was
He's
very
the one
intentional.
who was literally getting ready to face down Thanos and his entire army
by himself.
Broken shield.
He's the
and already beat up. Three ways from Sunday. Yeah.
It's not strange to me that he would show up and say to Rogue, like, stand down.
So I think that some things are happening for like bigger MCU
Spoiler boy
purposes, and then there are things that's happening. Just obviously, most of it is happening for the television show, right?
Yeah.
And I think that is no surprise. I don't think Bo wrote Cap in it for MCU purposes, but the way it was promoted for coming up on the rest of the season after episode 5, they purposely showed that shield dropping, because we all know what happens when that shield drops. It's the same voice actor from the What If that's playing Cap. To your comic book point, remember I made that point about Cable sounding like Josh Brolin. I mind you, I may have been in the deep end with that one, but I do think a lot of these things are intentional to make you, to give you the feel of the MCU, but also help you understand, to your point, sir, these people that are showing up are a new threat.
And again, like, you got to remember that that Cap doesn't exist anymore in the MCU.
Right.
Like, even in animated form, he's been replaced with a different Cap.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A female Cap.
Captain Carter. Yeah.
So this is kind of like a reminder.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Cap. Oh yeah, that bite. But this also is, you got to remember the time frame in which this is taking place.
Right.
1997.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, this is definitely the continuity of the original series, right? So I mean, the MCU Cap isn't even running around in 1997. He's still in a block of ice.
Yeah.
So this is definitely like, about opening things up to like the whole Marvel universe, because those old cartoons had access to pretty much every character. Like Cap did show up. He did show up in that series.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Spider-Man 2. I'm just saying.
I'm
just saying.
Yeah, he sure did.
Yeah.
I don't, like, again, this is really quickly. I don't want to get into conspiracy theories and they made this so it could. I just think that Kevin Feige is a very intentional person when he has his hands on things. And I just don't think it's to your point about the comic books and to your point about just Cap in general, and how he presented in this show and how Rogue presented in this show. If it wasn't intentional, it's still a cool way to show, even if it's by accident, that these mutants, because you're bringing up Rogue and how if Rogue decides she wants to go off, how crazy it could be. Well, there's about 30 mutants like that. You know what I mean? And I mean, if Storm decided I'm going crazy today, it's a bad day for a lot of people. So
100%.
I think it's just a great way to kind of show when you start integrating these characters into more mediums.
I think it is.
These characters
Yeah,
are serious. Yeah.
I think it is very purposeful.
Yeah.
That there is a focus on Rogue and correcting what is technically, I'm just gonna say, continuity is canon for the MCU.
Yeah.
Based on what's happening in Deadpool and the Fox thing dying and these worlds kind of merging, right? That if you're going to do that and you're going to canonize that old content, you need to make look. There's a swath of people, young women, men, who just don't know. Like, look, Captain Marvel was an attempt at like helping to kind of give the MCU some Wonder Woman, right? Some of that much needed girl power that like, no, it's not just Cap and Iron Man, and there are women out here who have been in the comics for decades
who are superpowered,
banging, like, you know what I mean, like really getting it. Rogue is another opportunity for them to really take that and showcase, like, as powerful as Storm is, Storm's not a fighter in terms of, like, she's not a banger. She's not going toe to toe with Juggernauts and Hulks and Thanoses, right? Not with the hands.
Right.
Rogue's a different beast, right? And like, if you're going to position yourself, and this is just the business part of me, right? You're going to position yourself when you start thinking about what kind of Halloween costumes are we selling this year?
Right.
To little girls.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what kind of costumes, right? When we start like removing some of that Harley Quinn and the Wonder Woman and the, like, okay, let's start really putting some other options out there. To me, this is like, we're ready to either take this forward in animation in a way that still showcases a character like this, and or we're prepared to do the full Monty live action. The time is coming, right? And so we need to kind of show that path and correct it. Now, in an MCU where you actually have a Captain Marvel and you could really tell that story of how Rogue got her powers in live action, it changes the complete landscape, right? Of everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly a focus on Storm and Rogue in this series. And it's clearly, and I have not forgotten that Storm and Rogue and Cyclops, because there's a focus on him in the series too, were three characters in the Fox versions of the X-Men that were severely underutilized and misunderstood.
Yeah,
I told my wife, you know, I told you my wife watches it with me, and she just, you know, it was like little stuff she didn't know about Storm, and I was like, that's not your fault. You've been watching Halle Berry Storm for 20 years. Even if you watch the cartoon, which she did, it's easy to forget the cartoon and remember Halle Berry. If you don't know Rogue, you know Anna Paquin's version of Rogue. You know Bryan Singer's Rogue, which I think Bryan Singer tried to get to the essence of Rogue, the tragedy of Rogue, which is in this episode, by the way.
Absolutely.
The tragedy of
100%.
Rogue, but he forgot the power of Rogue. He took away the power of her to focus on the tragedy of her. I don't know what he was thinking with Storm, but either way, I think that there is a focus on those three characters to really show that, y'all may hate Cyclops, but Cyclops can be a beast. Storm is a beast. Rogue is a beast. So yeah, for the business side, I definitely understand what you're saying.
I think in that older media, you know, it's like it then wasn't now. You know what I mean? Like back then when those movies were coming out, like The Matrix was hot, and people were like, the studios were like, oh, like people aren't ready for like real legit superheroes.
Right.
And you know what? Like maybe they wasn't for real. And so they made all of these, like I remember specifically like Bryan Singer interviews talking about how they were really depowering all the X-Men. Like Storm wasn't going to fly and Jean wasn't going to fly, and they were, they were really like trying to, we're going to bring it down to earth. So like Rogue not having the signature Rogue power set is like part of that. Same thing with the costumes. And I think, now we're at a point where like the man on the street, like the regular person everywhere, like they having a certain level, like a certain like baseline expectation, understanding of what superheroes can do, can be, should look like, and there's a freedom to really express that. And I know like this show is animated, but I still feel like it's like the material is being treated um like with the respect of live action, like the characters are. And so, like even like you watch it and you're like, some of this stuff could end up like really be like great live action. You know what I mean? I mean, like the budgets would be insane, but like you could see them pulling this stuff off.
Yeah. I mean, to both of your points, I think that we have gotten to a place where, with having control of your own characters, what Marvel has done with the MCU, that is very different from what was done with Fox, because Marvel / Disney knows, loves, and understands these characters, the lore, and where they come from. They recognize that you can, in the same way that you can have a comic book that is just this one character's book, right? Like there's an X-Men book, but there's a Psylocke one. There's an X-Men book, but there is like a Gambit run of like stories that are separate. There's a, you know what I mean? Yes, there's a team book, but there's the approach that Marvel has taken when it was like, all right, we're doing Iron Man.
Yeah.
We're not ready to bring it to an Avengers, so then we do a Thor.
Yeah.
And we're not ready to bring it to an Avengers, so we do Captain America, right? And each one of those characters gets an individual film. Then they begin to get sequels to those films, and they each become stars within their own rights. Right. And they become famous, and people start to have their favorites enough that you can get to a Civil War and actually have people going, you team Cap?
Yeah.
You team Iron Man. You know what I mean? And like people are like, nah, you're not necessarily going to get the same answer from everyone, right?
Yeah. For sure. And my household is different.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Because one of y'all wrong. One of y'all wrong. You know what I'm saying? But like where the traditional Fox having control of the IP and doing the X-Men, you have executives that make their decisions about what movies get greenlit and how those movies are focused based on who is starring in those movies, not based on what the content is and what we want to write. And so again, you have stories that should be about the X-Men, but end up focused on Wolverine because people end up loving Hugh Jackman, right? And then when that second set comes and you do a great job with First Class, it is an incredible movie, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
But Jennifer Lawrence was like, when that came out. So her being Mystique was like, And then all of a sudden Hunger Games hits and she becomes the most popular actor on the planet.
Yeah.
And so now you have her locked into a contract. And so you build the rest of the movies around her. So now the movies become about Mystique, which is the same thing that happened with the old X-Men movies. They became about Wolverine, about Logan. And so this is an opportunity for them to go, we have all these characters and they play an ensemble cast, but you can still have a Captain America movie that has all of these people in it and it still feels like a Captain America movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have an episode like this. This is still an X-Men show, but the episode has a heavy focus on Rogue.
Right.
But as Rogue is tied into everything else, and you could build something about her for her later on down the road and not have it go the way, say, a Black Widow did.
Yeah.
Also, Black Widow doesn't have powers.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just kind of a thing.
Yeah. I mean, Black Widow, I think, is a time. We're not really talking about that, but
yeah. It is
that movie
timing.
should have came out right after the first Avengers movie. Like
Easy.
end of story. Yeah.
Easy. I like the focus on Rogue. I like where they're heading with Rogue.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're gonna do a little bit of my favorite thing, and we're gonna talk about Cyclops. And
Adam, where were you last week, man?
I know, man.
You left your boy out here.
Listen, I know, man. I'm sorry, brother.
I have no backup.
it wasn't gonna matter, Jerry.
Yeah.
This go round, right? Cyclops is stepping into the leader role for real. Like he's stepping into those shoes. He's the person that's at the helm having the conversation with the president about stepping up and giving us the help we need in Genosha and having that back and forth with the president when the president like, look, man. And it's funny that he's like, it's an optics thing. And my man said optics and of clear, they looking right in on my man. Like, I mean, you have no idea what I do with these optics, Mr. President. So he is doing that thing, right? And then he does do exactly what Jerry said last week. He going, you and you go do this, and you and you go do this, and you know what I mean? They jump in, and he's asking. He's like, look, this is what we got to do. We got to lead the team. We can't worry about those things right now. We got to show up. We got to go show up. We got to let them know the X-Men are here. We got to go help our fellow people. And we got to save face. Like that's what we got to do. We got to put on the show. And so, how's everybody doing?
Yeah.
They all right. But they ready to go.
Listen. Cyclops telling Senator Kelly, yo, you better recognize. Listen, he was like, he's like, what are you talking about? He's like, my people out here.
Yeah.
You talking about optics.
Yeah.
He's like, you don't get out of here with that nonsense.
Yeah.
He was like that. And then he hung up on him, dog. He pushed the button.
Yeah.
Wham!
Slammed it on him.
Yeah, I see.
Because he lost the conversation anyway. Like, let's not like like it was over. He's not getting the help that he needs. The UN got to back out, right? They got to back out.
Yeah. But I just appreciate that he's like, he just wasn't having it. He was like, oh, word, peace.
Yeah, I just see. I love where his character is going because, as I said last time I was on the show, that is the coolest version of Cyclops. Is when Cyclops is, rogue. He's never rogue, but he's a little more defiant. He leans more Magneto. He even kind of says it in this episode, like Magneto called it.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is something he would not have said episode 1, or when he straight-laced Scott, he doesn't say things like that. He's more leaning toward, and the best of Cyclops to me is when he's conflicted and floating between Charles's philosophy and Eric's philosophy. And when he's closer he doesn't
have Charles to go back and lean on. Yes. Like, I think he's always had those kinds of I think he's always been conflicted.
Yes.
But he's always been within 100 feet of Xavier for Xavier to say, well, no.
Yeah.
This is why my
he
son
doesn't have that.
This is what it is. So now that he doesn't have that, and there's nobody else to step in and say those things.
Right.
My man is he's a cannon.
Yeah.
He's a literal cannon.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That is like, and again, that
a literal cannon. Yeah.
A literal cannon.
Yeah.
That is like, again, the thing about him is, again, my issue is he's not a leader. He's a soldier. So he's a weapon. He's a literal cannon.
Yeah.
Waiting to be pointed in the right direction.
Yeah.
You point, I'll shoot. Right. That's what he does. So right now, people don't take orders from a gun. They take orders from the person holding the gun. Mm-hmm. That's how it works. Mm-hmm. So he's going out there and he's saying, yo, we got to help these people go over here and do this and go over here and do this and whatever. But somebody tell me, do you think that Jubilee went to Cyclops and was like, hey, is it okay with you if I fly with Roberto to go see his mom to tell his mom that he's a mutant? Nah, she just went, dog.
Because they're not a team. And that's what I was saying earlier. Because right now they're not a team. Listen, I don't agree with that. Okay. Jerry, I don't agree with that. But I do agree that because Scott is conflicted, and whenever this happens in the comic books, Scott is conflicted. I disagree with one thing. I know you're throwing shots, but
That's my job.
I think he's there. I think he is a leader, but he's not Xavier's type of leader. He's and he can be and by the way, he can lead them to bad things. We talk about the whole Avengers versus X-Men arc and all of that, right? And some of the things that, him and Wolverine were having debates over, and the way Cyclops was leading was with an iron fist, and it was very much like, listen, it was it was very much Magneto type of leadership, but it was almost like Apocalypse type of thinking. Like, at the end of the day, if you can't help us, I can't do, then you're useless to me. He's not there yet in this show. He's not that version of himself. But I like that the writers, the showrunner, and whoever else is involved they're pushing him in that direction. The character enough to push him, even to hint at that version of him, even if he never gets there in any of the seasons of this show.
I think it'll be crazy if he goes there, but I also think it's necessary.
I'm saying, like, because they're I mean, any good show or good movie, they give you a good story. And especially if it's based on something already, they give you little hints of where, like, there's a scene in this episode, speaking of General Ross, where he has a red light on his face.
Oh yeah.
And it's just a subtle little, we know he'll probably
if
never
you know
this show, but we know. Okay, so I love that. Just shows a deep understanding of the characters, and again, that's what makes this show very good, is because they understand the characters, and that's a telltale of any great series.
I gotta say, I really like Cyclops saying, "Yo, saddle up. We're going to Genosha, and we are going to be seen, so that people can see us and have hope." Like, to me, 100%. like that's a pretty strong, like, leadership thing. And also,
I also feel like there was a double entendre there, because Hope Summers. I just think that's a thing. I think that him saying that, I think Jean having her hair down like Madeline now instead of pulled back like Jean, I think that's a thing. I think them having a little moment of being like, I mean, he brings her up, like he brings up Magneto, but he also brings up, like Madeline said, like she said it too, and she's like, listen, I know she was important to you, and I know how important she was to you and to Nathan. She was not important to Nathan. Nathan don't know her. It's like in a week, Slim was gone. Like, he don't know who she is, but they're leaning towards a thing, bro. And I'm telling you, like, if they do this Hope Summers joint, bro, like, there's so many different directions and things that they're pulling from. They can do almost anything right now.
Yeah, that's the beauty of X-Men. There's just so many great stories out there, That's why they should be leading the MCU, going forward.
Yeah. Well, so hold on. But on that. So, like, actually, like, Gage, to your point earlier about how normally, like, shows, movies, whatever, will skip over death and these, like, really impactful moments. Like, first of all, I hate that in movies and stuff. I'm like, didn't that dude just die? Wasn't that his, like, best friend? Didn't they?
Right.
We don't care about that no more. That's fine. We're not thinking about it. So here, like, we're here, we're dealing with it. I feel like in the MCU, that's what I was missing with the snap, right? So, like, you're watching these movies, and then we get the whole, like, oh, there's the snap, and we skip that whole piece of time, which, like, for me, like, I kind of wasn't really feeling that, but okay. But then, we reverse it. Now people come back, and I never really felt like it was dealt with in a real down to earth, direct kind of way, especially with the superheroes. Like, the closest you really get is in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and they're sort of dealing with it, but, like, not really. You know what I mean? Like, not in the way that these X-Men are here on the ground, picking people up, searching, you know what I mean? And I feel like that's such an impactful thing to see like in the whole world, and it fleshes everything out. You know, like we understand, you know, why these characters are in this emotional space. You know, like and Cyclops and Jean have their moment here right before they find was it the White Queen,
Yeah.
right? Like in that backdrop. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So like it's all this powerful stuff.
I think you're right, but there's a part of me that feels like what you feel like you were missing from the snap should be that way, comparatively speaking. See, because with this, there's a body. You have a body. You know definitively there's no life in this body. Like Rogue said, I can't feel you, right?
Yeah.
And now you're taking that body and you're laying that body to rest. You are looking for a level of closure that comes with being able to do that thing. With something like the snap, you have no idea what that really means. Can they undo it? Are they coming back tomorrow? Is this person really gone? Do you even consider them dead? How does insurance handle that? Like all of those kinds of things that are like real life things about the snap, you almost don't deal with until all of a sudden everybody gets snapped back and it's 5 years later, right?
But that's what I'm saying. When that happens, we still don't really deal with it. You know what I mean?
I hear what you're saying.
I just think, unfortunately, it's done in like so many different places. It's dealt with in Spider-Man a little bit. It's dealt with in
WandaVision.
It's dealt with in WandaVision a little bit. It's dealt with in Black Widow a little bit. Like even like her sister coming back and like being in the bathroom and coming back and being in somebody else's house. Like, you know, you have those moments where you get a piece of it. However, it's not that so like this is different because this death is significant to these characters that are the titular characters of the show, right? The X-Men, right? One of the X-Men died, a team member. He's not in the intro no more, dog. Like that's you understand what I'm saying?
So bad.
Yeah,
that's a real thing, right?
Yeah.
And the death of all the other people who more or less got snapped. Literally, people were getting evaporated. Like we kind of talked about that as they're running from this giant bug-shaped kaiju sentinel. They're just evaporating, right? And these are people who don't have families except for the rest of the Marauders or you know what I mean, the rest of the Morlocks or you know whatever, right? So you're still pulling the pieces together and you're still in the throes of it. We're finding bodies. We're pulling people out. They're talking about triage. Those are the things that are realistic about it that make it feel like you're dealing more with like Hurricane Katrina than you are with something like the snap, which is like as impactful as it would be. It doesn't feel as real because something like what happened on Genosha feels like what happened at 9/11. Where what happened with the snap doesn't quite feel like that because there is no going and looking for the bodies. There is no, you know what I mean? Like that
disappeared for all.
There's no like, how would you even, you know? So like, I do think that the emptiness that you feel of like it not even really getting that kind of closure, it's supposed to be that way because if you were that person, if your partner got snapped, if your dog got snapped, you know what I'm saying? And you're like, I don't even, do we do a burial? Do we hold a funeral? Right. Can we, you know what I mean? And those kinds of things are the things that like, it's supposed to feel different. And that's actually part of what I like about this and them dealing with it is that like, no, bro, this is real. There's an actual body. What they don't have is a body for Magneto. There is no service for Magneto. We're not even talking about that. We gonna get to that. But like we're not even talking about that, right? So it is how it specifically impacts these people. And yes, there were people on the quote unquote Avengers teams that were, for all intents and purposes, snapped away. This is a sacrifice. This is a choice. He was killed, maybe, right? Like, is there a possibility that had he been able to remove himself from there, he could have been saved? Because that explosion that he caused may have done just as much, if not more, irreparable damage to himself. It was a sacrifice, right? Snap wasn't a sacrifice, right? It was a killing. So it feels different, and you're dealing with it from that perspective. And I think that is just it is important to who and where Jubilee is, as she says to Roberto. What if we were here? What if we were here? What do you mean you haven't told your mom? I mean, I'm on a ski trip. No, dog, but you're not though. Right? We need to go and have that conversation. Will you go with me? Yes, I'll go with you, but I ain't asking Scott. I'm gonna just go because that's who I am. You know what I'm saying? I'm Jubilee and I'm 18 and I'm an adult. I can do.
I'll leave over the Post-it note, but I'm out of here.
Right.
Right. And so now we're in a place where, like, again, even something like that, Roberto, who has a family that has a lot of money and is business first and family second. And he goes and he basically outs himself as if he's telling his mother he's homosexual.
Right.
Yeah.
And she's like, baby, I've been there.
Yeah.
You burned down 2 of our houses, Slim. Like, I've been,
right.
Baby, I've been there.
But now that it's out in the open.
Yeah, that's the handle.
We gotta have some discussions.
Yeah.
Now we gotta not have it out in the open. We gotta figure out how to keep it from being out in the open, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it almost makes me feel like there was a part of her that, even though in that moment she says to him, you know, we knew, but it felt like a thing that you needed to come to us and tell us. Eventually, she was going to go to him and be like, hey, look, dog, we already know we got to keep this under wraps. We can't just be, you know what I'm saying? Like, people are walking away from business deals if there's even a mention of mutants out here. Like, you can't, that's not a thing, right? That's the same thing Angel dealt with, you know what I'm saying? Like, and if you go back to the original show. So again, we're kind of pulling these pieces, and even that is really tied into the death and carnage that is Genosha and what happened to those people on Genosha. So it feels more real, right? Because you are getting situations where they're having to deal with it. We're like 3 episodes ago, they were stuck in a video game. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And in this episode, we're having a very real conversation with his mother about who he is and what that means, and him being like, whoa, wait, no, that's not okay.
Yeah.
Right? I thought you were saying you were okay with me being who I am. Oh, yeah, baby, I am.
Right.
But that money says
in the house,
no.
That way in here, out there.
But outside the house, like, baby, listen, when I'm gonna tell you right now, when I need the fire lit in the fireplace, I'm gonna call you.
Right.
Hey, baby, let's start that fire.
World don't need to know what's going on.
Yeah, but
outside, you ain't no little pyromaniac in it like that. No,
I think episode 5, to your point about, we had this discussion about the snap and all of this. I think episode 5 hit because it felt like the biggest thing that's happened in Marvel since the snap for people that are into this. And so, and not just because it was a crazy event, a bunch of people died, but because of the emotional toll that is easy to forget about, because with the snap, I guess, happened, like 7 years ago at this point, or 8? I don't know how long the movie came out, years ago. So it's hard to forget how you felt and how people that aren't like MCU nerds that just went to go see Black Panther or whatever, felt when people got snapped away. And then it is easy to forget that they kind of covered it in Falcon and Winter Soldier and WandaVision and this, that, and another, right? And it's also worth saying that because of the pandemic and because of scheduling mishaps, that they had to cover all of this stuff like a year later. You gotta remember that a lot of the Disney Plus shows came out like a year late. Like we really had a year and a half of nothing. So it's, you kind of lost your opportunity. And it's also worth noting that the Black Panther movie was supposed to be about that. And then obviously Chadwick passes away. So that to the side, I think the reason why this episode hits is because of episode 5 and because they've done the best job they've done since the snap of really giving you like an emotional toll to things. As you were talking, Gage, I was thinking, well, yeah, but you know what? When Iron Man died, that hit, that felt real. When Black Widow died,
and he had a funeral.
Yeah, he had a funeral. I'm saying exactly your point. When Black Widow died, that hit. When they all come back from their time travel thing and they all realize, yo, where's I'm about to call her Wanda. Where's Black Widow? Right, Natasha. And it hits, right? So this Gambit thing hits. The Magneto thing hit, right? The Gambit thing hits, especially because there's a body, and also because we had a funeral for him at the top of the episode. So it's just Yeah,
you're
no,
right. I
well,
think more than anything, it hits because, yo, listen, no disrespect.
yeah.
Gambit's mid, but Rogue is not.
Right.
And I think it hits because that's not to be like, and I say that because I think if you were to ask again, you got to remember that we're talking about a show now that like hits for us, like we know who all these characters are, right? But you're also again talking about it having to hit for people whose only real knowledge about the X-Men comes from the live action movies and the Gambit they got, bro.
Yeah.
It ain't, you understand what I'm saying? So like if you ask most people, I'm not talking about most people who read comics. If you ask most people who's their favorite X-Man, nobody's saying Gambit if you're not already in.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Like you're already in.
100% agree.
Are there people who might say Rogue? Yeah, because I think that she actually is elevated as a character above where he is. And I think part of that comes from the kind of character he is, which is what Nightcrawler is speaking about. This is a person who, when he shows up, it's all questionable. He's sneaky, he's underhanded, he's not trustworthy, right? Bishop came here to stop him because he's supposed to be the one that does, right? All of that stuff about Gambit kind of brings Gambit down to a slightly lower level, only to have Nightcrawler come in this joint and say, as the man who plays cards and always makes the bet and whatever, I think he was bluffing. I think he was bluffing. I think he was keeping himself from realizing that he really was the hero. And what he did in his last moments was the most heroic thing he could possibly have done. That's an immediate elevation. We feel it though, because Rogue's not at the funeral.
Yes, and think about how just that line alone, to your point, if you're someone that's just coming into this, or you only know the Fox X-Men and you don't know much about Gambit, you may have known that your older brother had a toy and he threw cards. That's about as much as you know. Right? That little line, see, that's good storytelling.
It is.
That little line gives you context. There's a line, I won't go through it, but there's a line like this, like Game of Thrones used to do that all the time, where they would take a character and kind of just give you the little nuggets. I'm sure all of your favorite shows, movies, books will do that, right? And
someone was detected at your front door.
So that's why I think that this all hits a little heavier, because again, you're right. Gambit is not like the world's biggest X-Men character. We haven't really seen, and by the way, the comic books hadn't been really leaning on Gambit for some years now, right? So yeah, Gambit is very 90s. Gambit was super cool in the 90s. You're 100% right. To just
staff in a trench coat, dog.
Yep. So what's happening here is Rogue and Nightcrawler are serving as like tools to help you understand what kind of man. You don't even know who those people are at the funeral. If you're not into X-Men, you don't know who those people are with the mullets. You don't know anything about
you have no idea that that's like his brother.
Adam, to your point of what is like selling all this, it's how Rogue is reacting and like just the acting behind it, that emotional stuff behind, like hearing her voice crack when she's trying to talk and starts crying, like she is bodying that. As far as pulling emotion out of people, like she's on a roll with that.
Yes,
it's a real thing, because if you didn't know better, right? Gambit is womanizing kind of right, but like they have in just this season alone, they have done so much to like separate him from that. And his love and care specifically for Rogue, right? They're like, we can't touch, I don't care. We can't have sex, I don't care. I love, I want to be with you. Like those things, like you're beginning to really see that. Like you see the hurt. That first time he finds out about Magneto and her and kind of sees the kiss, and you kind of get that glimpse of him kind of hiding around the corner. She leaves his room and he drops the Queen card, the same card that he throws into the fire when he's sitting there with her. He's hurt, bro. He's in love. You understand what I'm saying? And so like now you're seeing him as more than just that. And then you get this whole thing of the breakup, to get back together. No, as much as it would be great to be with you, Eric, I can't do it. My heart belongs to another. And she was willing to go that route and didn't get a chance to tell him that before he went off and saved the lives of all of these people. So like, if you've only seen this season, the nuggets of who Gambit is, right? So different.
Yeah.
Right. You're really getting a true depiction of it.
A three-dimensional character.
Yeah. And in like 6 episodes.
Yeah.
Because the first episode, it was like, dog, they got him in a little half shirt.
Yeah.
It was kind of my guy. Yeah.
They was going, right?
He lit up the claws. He did. Yeah. He was.
Now.
Yeah.
They booing and hooing.
Yeah.
They were laughing and snickering.
Yeah.
4 episodes ago. Episode 5, they booing and hooing, but they're not
certified hero.
Listen, but they're not necessarily booing and hooing because Gambit died. They're booing and hooing because
Rogue lost somebody.
Gambit died.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? And that is where we are in this episode.
Yeah.
Now we're dealing with how we handle grief. For some people, that grief is anger. It's not, I can't do these tears. I can't whatever.
Yeah.
We're going to go fight.
Yeah.
We're going to go fight.
And
I'm about to body everybody.
Yeah.
I'm about to body everybody.
Yeah.
Right?
And to the
government,
tragedy,
I don't care.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Nah, yeah.
Yeah.
Government, I don't care. Captain America, I don't care. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Hope, I don't care. I'm going, what's up? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In the
Until
2000s.
they get a hold of her and talk her down.
Right.
And they kind of force her to have some grief. Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No. That's what I was going to say.
That was a great
what I was going to say is that I mentioned earlier that Bryan Singer really focused on the tragedy of Rogue, but while depowering her, which made her out to be like a kind of like a emo, very sad, kind of like, oh, I don't want to be a mutant. But truly the tragedy of Rogue is that her power is she can get like that. Remember, Rogue's a villain, right? That's something we learned in this. And like she has that. Remember, she says all the good guys are dead. I'm here now, right? Mm-hmm. Also, the tragedy of her
raised by Mystique of all people. Like, come on now.
Right. Which Nightcrawler mentions, right? But also that her power is so powerful, not because she can take your power and just use it, but because she takes a piece of you.
Right.
When she takes your
memories,
power.
Your feelings.
Yes. And look at who she's having to absorb power from. Some of the people in this episode, which I'm showing you, that's the tragedy of Rogue, is that she's overpowered, but also her power comes with a true consequence.
Definitely.
And that's a better way to tell her story to me.
The gift and the curse.
Yes.
It is again, it's brilliant to kind of make an X-Men show. Again, we got focus on Storm. We got some focus on Gambit. We got some focus on Cyclops. We got focus on Madeline and Jean.
Yep.
We got focus on Nathan/Cable.
Yep.
We're getting that focus on Rogue, right? We got that focus on Magneto and who he is and his arc.
We got on Jubilee.
Yep.
We got on Jubilee, gave her, you know what I mean, her 18th birthday coming of age joint. I don't gotta ask Cyclops for permission for nothing. I go do it.
Hey, start that man out. Funny enough, the one person they haven't put the major attention on is the one that's been getting the major attention for 25 years.
Well, he got a movie about to drop with Deadpool. He good right now.
Right. That's the point. Exactly.
Correct.
And I don't know, maybe he will, but right now he hasn't, and that's cool.
He's giving the best advice.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
He's turning down like we already all know.
Yep.
So we don't need to focus on him, right? The last time we did an X-Men show, it was Wolverine and the X-Men.
It was about him. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was about him coming back and leading the team, right? So, and I'll be honest with you on that joint, him going back to try to get Scott. Yo, if you haven't seen Wolverine and the X-Men, dog, that episode where he finds Scott and goes to get him to try to get Scott to come back to the team, and they had him words, boy. I'm gonna tell you right now, Wolverine and the X-Men was a bop, bro. Like it's slept on. It gets real when he starts trying to assemble that team back together.
Yeah.
So we're not just on this one. We're gonna give some focus to Roberto and what's going on with him and what it means to be outing yourself. And now what does that mean for his family if people find out that he has his powers, and what does that do to them, and what kind of anger will they have? Like all of these things that are coming to a head. Right. We only got 3 episodes left.
Yeah.
Right. And they all got the same name, part 1, part 2, and part 3, basically. Like you know what I mean? Like it's getting ready to go down. Look, when she gets her hand, Rogue goes in and says, look, son, this ain't that. We ain't doing no interrogation. This ain't that kind of interrogation. You ain't got to answer my questions. You gonna answer my questions, right? Stop fighting me. She wakes up in the streets, bro. Like, I don't even know. We don't even really know what happened.
Then the last thing she did was absorb his information, which we all know can kind of drive her crazy. I mean, she absorbed information from a doctor in episode 2 and delivered a baby. Okay,
no doubt.
Yeah,
so
no doubt.
This is one of the most evil men in the entire Marvel universe.
You know, she drained him too because she was pissed.
Yeah. So, and then she wakes up and that was interesting to me. What was she doing in the meantime in between?
She was in the streets.
Bodies.
They find her.
Yeah.
And Nightcrawler kind of gives her that, you know, look, you really like, you my half sister, you my foster sister, like you're my sister, like we gotta, you know. And she finally gets a chance to relieve herself with some tears.
Yeah.
Right. And really kind of talk about what's going on with her, and everybody being there to be like, baby, we got you. You know what I'm saying?
Like her to turn around and see everybody like, nah, we friends. Like, we got you. Yeah.
Like it's those kind of moments, those poignant kind of moments that like a show like this needs, and that set a show like this apart from what we are used to getting, you know what I'm saying, in the US anyway, right? Most of the time. So but now we got to go to this facility and we got to handle some business. And we get there and we start seeing, all right, something is awry, bro. Like
some super villain
there's
type
things
stuff
here that really ain't supposed to be here. This is light years ahead of like the tech that we should have.
Yeah.
You know, we've been seeing these kind of moments of this dude's like chin and like him talking.
Yeah.
You know, this fear of like Sinister and what's going, like, you know, and him talking straight. Listen, my man, they never say his name in the joint, but my man Bastion told Sinister, hey, dog, you've been failing to do this joint since 92. 92,
like how you just gonna say that to him like that? That was disrespectful.
Yeah,
it was like since 92.
Your example is opposite of what I do.
It feels more disrespectful in 2024 than I feel like it would have really felt in 97.
Yeah. You have to remind yourself, that's right, this is 97.
Yeah. When he said, I was like, when he said, he was like, you've been feeling this since 90s. I was like, you know what I'm saying? It was just like, I'm 65. Like it was one of those moments, right? But he kind of clapped back. I was like, hey, dog, you know, you used to be one of them weak villains. Like you was one of them side villains or whatever. Which again, we're gonna get to. So we're gonna talk a little bit about Bastion. I don't know how familiar you are with Bastion, but essentially they keep showing Nimrod.
Yeah.
If you remember Nimrod from the original show, Nimrod is kind of like the very weird looking straight arms,
like
straight down. Kind of, he very much looks like a GoBot.
Yeah.
And he is like a sentinel from the future. He is a sentinel that came from Bishop's future.
Big deal
where
in
they
have in the current story.
That's Nimrod, right?
Yeah. He is kind of treated as if like Sentinels are like the T-800 Terminator, and
I remember
Nimrod would be like the
T-1000,
kind of thing. Bastion is a combination of Nimrod and Master Mode.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
When Nimrod gets defeated, he comes across an old Master Mode, and their parts basically intertwine. They become one. And so he is basically a humanoid version of those two things. He is
that's a threat.
He's a threat.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he's a threat. And the kind of there's a lot of convoluted story behind Sinister and the technovirus and all of that. But you know, look, Rogue is not playing games.
Yeah.
She killed that man.
Yeah.
I loved every second of it.
Listen,
Yeah.
hold up though. Hold up. This is the thing. Like, I know, just like y'all, I've read a lot of comic books. I've watched a lot of cartoons. What I expect to see is, I mean, there was like 800 X-Men right behind her.
Yeah.
Somebody was going to swoop in and save him.
Yeah. They're
I'm with you,
perfectly
Jerry.
capable. Nope.
I thought that was gonna happen. I was like, oh, y'all just let my girl murk somebody? Let's go.
Yo, so that's the point I was making earlier, that they're not a team. I'm so happy. I've been waiting for us to get to this part the whole time. Because when she takes when she takes Trash and Trask and throws him over.
You're right, Trash. You're right. That's fine.
Trash. Right. Takes him, she throws him over. She basically dude says, I got nothing left for you. I got nothing. Basically, I know no more information. She goes, me the sugar, throws him over.
Yeah.
Right? The X-Men, including Scott, watch her.
Hit this joint.
They all just, no one says anything. The first person
That's not what a leader does.
I think maybe Nightcrawler goes, oh, what happened? Right. And then the first person to really say something is Morph. He goes, no, I'm sorry. He's the last person to really, he's the first person to like address how terrible this is. Right.
Mm-hmm.
The first person, when he says, I think, and correct me if I got the sequence wrong.
Hold on. I think it was Scott that said something first, and then Wolverine.
I think Scott may have said, what did you do? Right?
And Wolverine says,
Wolverine goes, what we all wanted to do.
Yeah.
What we didn't want to do.
What we all, yeah.
And then Morph goes, is this what we've become?
Mm-hmm.
Which again, that's why I had that point I made earlier, that this is going to, they aren't a team right now. That was a conflict. Scott didn't lead like he was supposed to lead. You didn't go, Scott, stand down, rogue. Oh, you know what I mean? He didn't do any of that. Scott in his heart, again, from my perspective, how I viewed it, in his heart is on that Magneto right now.
Nightcrawler. He was the one that said, Rogue, what have you done? And then Wolverine's the one that says, yeah.
Scott said nothing. So Scott said nothing. Scott kind of felt it a little bit. Scott,
he froze.
Yeah, because when Wolverine said what we all wanted to do, Scott was like, "You Skippy, dog."
That's what I'm saying. So this is Scott Summers with the X visor, with the red X visor. Y'all know what I'm saying? That's that dude who could attract something evil, if you know that storyline. Okay.
I mean, look, dog, I'm just saying that like Nightcrawler could have
made a move,
but he didn't. And then she says, this dude killed thousands of people. He's a piece of, you know what, in so many words. And they all pretty much, true.
Yeah. I mean, it was very much that Red Hood Batman Joker moment.
Yes.
Yeah. So like here, like I think that the show is like any good media is going to force you to like ask these questions.
Yes.
And I think like the parallels like that the X-Men is drawing is like, you know, in like a George Floyd kind of moment, and like not so much 9/11. Like I know that's like kind of what we're sort of comparing like the bigness of it to, but you know, it's like for the X-Men, for mutants, the system doesn't work, right? Because like
Beast mentions earlier,
right. And so say they capture this guy. I mean, they captured him before, like right, and we're here,
we're here. Yes,
100%. What difference does it make? All right,
what is the point?
Let's start making a difference.
Yeah,
which feels very Magneto.
Yes,
Xavier would have never.
Yes,
there's no way, right?
What's he gonna have to say when he gets back? Like, Rogue, I saw what you did.
Yeah.
What he's gonna have to say when he gets back is, "I'm sorry, I was gone." So
first,
be like,
yes, that's first and foremost.
You wasn't here. You didn't show up.
Yeah,
you left us.
I didn't get to talk about last week's episode, but the one thing I do want to say, he said, he was like, while I've been cowering in the cosmos, he was like, they were making love, they were drinking wine, they were good. I'm up here chilling with you in the cosmos, and my people, everything's gone to hell.
People suffering. Yep.
People suffering.
people
And I just
Lost
lost one of
their
my
way.
children. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't even
That's
care
it.
about what's going on in your world no more. I don't really care. I gotta go.
Right.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I will always find it in my heart to side with Charles Xavier, cowering in the cosmos. Because that man deserves a break like everybody else do, dog.
That's what
like
she
you
told
just
him.
like it's one of those things. It's a natural thing. Like you can't, as long as you're on Earth fighting the good fight, you can't take a break because the fight never ends. And you kind of are subjecting yourself and the people who follow you to that notion. Like you are working to get to a place where everybody can live on the same page. But the reality of it is that fight never stops needing to be fought.
Yep.
It just doesn't, right? And so at some point, you need a break. And for him to get a break, he had to basically die.
Yes.
Yeah.
Listen,
I mean, that happens. That's how things work in real life.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
That's
we
what I'm saying. He
mentioned
was MLK assassinated.
Yeah. And you see what happened when MLK passed on, was assassinated, how there was a more of a radical movement that birthed from that a lot of people agree with and thought was very necessary. And it's a great question. And so when we as you mentioned earlier, Jerry, like these good media makes you ask really deep questions about like life, right? And we were talking about the whole is Tony right thing, which is a great question because it's like a question about like big government versus natural freedom. It's a really great philosophical question. Well, the Magneto and Xavier philosophy debate has always been a great debate. And right now we're really exploring the consequences of Xavier's philosophy. Going back earlier in the episode where Beast is talking to the reporter, and I like that they're showing that they kind of like each other. I think that's pretty cool. But he says, like, I'm sorry that he says something to the effect of, I'm sorry that I've your tolerance or something like I've wasted the limits of your tolerance or something of that. Right. Which is like basically like, no, because he says to her, like, he says to him, like, yeah, it's gonna be hard to help you out when mutants are out on the street, rioting. And he's like, so what? Look at what just happened. How much tolerance do I get from you? That's a real question we were asking around George Floyd and Shamir Rice and all that. Like, there was a real question about, like, all right, these people got killed, but do y'all really have to riot? It's not helping your cause. And people were saying, but you never were for my cause. What else am I to do? So again, not to make it about that, just to keep it to the show. That's the conflict that happens when Rogue throws that man over, and the team, the X-Men, the people who are supposed to be the representation of Xavier's dream, are no longer sure about it.
Oh yeah, they've been not sure.
Yeah,
right. And so in that moment, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, bro. They made her look real evil.
Yeah,
which I feel like I didn't like. But they definitely did that kind of upshot.
Yeah,
looking down with the dark, and in the rain.
Yep.
But now we don't have time to think about that because
oh boy, yeah,
I'm a zombie, dog. Like I am.
Yeah.
And this is why we needed his DNA. This is why we're like, okay, because the Master Mold didn't work without his DNA. And my man is a monster, and he's beating the brakes off of them.
Oh, what?
Oh,
like
he was dog walking.
Cyclops said he took Rogue down with one punch.
Yeah,
he
was concerned, bro.
And what we've been saying this whole time, how much of a beast she is. So
everybody get focused. Yeah.
Time to lock in, X-Men.
Yeah.
Shake it off.
I just want you to know. That's some team leader speak right there.
Hey, listen, y'all. I don't know if you
took
know
my
this,
heavy hitter out with one punch.
No, one punch. Yeah,
it's all going down, like, bro. Like, Jean ain't crushing him. It's like, no, they're in trouble.
Yeah,
but lo and behold, here comes Cable.
Here comes Josh Brolin.
Coming through.
Showed up like tuxedo mask, didn't he?
Yep.
Not the Sailor Moon reference. I didn't see that coming.
100%. 100%. That's it. Like yeah, he shows up, saves the day.
Yeah.
But we have a lot. Like now there's so much on the table.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And again, what direction it goes from here is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
To think about what, not even just, again, it's so much, it's so difficult to talk about what this is just within the confines of the show.
Yeah.
And of the season. You kind of can't do without talking about the greater MCU.
Yeah.
And you know what that means. And because especially with this show being the success that it is.
Yeah.
There is no future for the MCU without the X-Men. It just isn't. And when we're like, yo, when you're watching that Captain Marvel, I mean that Miss Marvel, and at the very end they give you that little it's like a mutation. Like, oh, okay, so what are we talking about here? What are we really doing, right? What direction are we really going? I'm gonna be real. I'm expecting heavy cameos over the next 3 episodes because it's all in. And it's going to be a fight. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm expecting heavy cameos, bro. I think everybody who's been in the show, I'm expecting the Fantastic Four. I'm expecting Iron Man. I'm expecting everybody, bro. I'm Spider-Man. I'm expecting everybody.
Jerry's like, yeah.
You gotta have a fight. Because, bro, look. Because this man, Captain America, mentioned his team.
He said, I'm going to get my team together. You need to be patient.
My team is going to go to Mexico and get Garrick.
We're going to figure it out. Yeah, I'll be there.
My man said,
go find your shield.
Oh, your hands are tied.
Listen.
You don't need shield. This, then.
Flung that thing.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
And can I tell you something? Even more importantly, though. Even more importantly. You know, you dang right it does. It shows that you stand with the mutants.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, you don't. And there's that little tug of war with the shield.
Yeah.
Better stop playing with me. It's Avengers vs. X-Men, bro. You better stop playing with me.
In that moment, he felt how strong she was. That's why he got back down. Like, nah. I ain't messing with her.
You already know. It wasn't
You beat me to it. You beat me to it.
Stand down was like, just like, that wasn't even, he didn't even mean it.
Yeah.
That's just what he's used to saying because that's how he talks. It wasn't like
he was trying to play to her like, hey, listen, I'm trying to play your heartstrings a little bit. I know I can't roll with you.
But I want to stop doing all the way out here.
Yeah. Man. To the point you were making, Gage, about like the bigger picture. And again, we can't help but to do it, right?
It's our job.
There's a bigger picture here. And you guys, again, I have to say for the audience watching, the only reason I'm on this show because they know I am like X-Men obsessed. I remember we did a review of we were doing a Eternals, like, what do you think's happening? And I jumped out. I think it's going to introduce me. I was wrong. Because I've been wanting this for so long. I was like, I think it's going to introduce the mutants and it's going to.
And look, where we at now?
Right.
Later, we're talking about an X-Men show that is bodying.
Yes. So, and the reason why I've been so excited about the X-Men in the MCU is because I think that it's a great opportunity to move on, so to speak. You don't stop making Avengers movies. They make billions of dollars, okay? But they now have their hands on, not fully with the guy that's behind you, Gage, okay? But I think Sony has finally decided, let's just let Marvel make the Spider-Man movies. I think that's why Spider-Man, this would be 4. Spider-Man 4 is happening, and why some of the rumors about Spider-Man 4 that Sony wanted to implement are no longer discussed anymore, right? Maybe
I think that's because that Madam Web hit the floppies.
Well,
Bro.
that's the point. That's the point I'm making.
And a floppy drive, bro. I'm talking about a 3.5 millimeter floppy.
Hey, listen, that's funny. But yes, though, that's my point, though. That's my point. And not to go off on that tangent, what I'm really trying to say is that before the MCU, the big dogs for Marvel were Spider-Man and the X-Men. Those were there.
Yeah, easy.
And when they got Spider-Man back, that's why they quickly dumped we're not fighting over Black Panther no more. We putting Spider-Man in this movie. We got him, right? And it was a big deal. Having the X-Men is a huge deal, and it's proven by this show, which is a cartoon that's based on a 90s cartoon that we all grew up on. We talked about this last time, and it's a success. It's the reason why the Deadpool trailer is one of the most watched trailers, because people want to see these characters, right? Mm-hmm. If they are smart, which I think they are smart people, I think they have bad leadership at the top, but you get us inside baseball stuff. We don't got to get into that, right? I think things are going well over at Marvel right now. And if they're smart, especially what's happened with the Kang storyline and things like that, which I'm sure they're going to try to still do it in some way. A versus X at some point in the future should happen.
All right, look, here's my thing. I'm not saying you're wrong.
Okay.
I just think that there's a reality that says for that to honestly happen, it probably has to happen in animated form.
That's okay. But by the way, I think that's okay. I'm not opposed to that. I don't think it has to be a movie. I just want to make sure y'all understand that. If it happens on this show, I think it's just as effective, because what we've been saying, what we've been kind of saying this entire episode is that this episode, by using Rogue, it helps you understand, and this series really helps you understand how cool and how powerful these characters are. And if A versus X happens in an animated form, and it just happened at something that happened in a multiverse, that's cool to me.
I mean, look, they keep showing Phoenix.
Yeah,
they keep
you're getting Dark Cyclops.
You want me to do something? You want me to do something terrible right now? Right before I close the show out and ask you what y'all scores are again? Hey, dog. That Captain America kind of seemed like a scroll to me, dog.
Oh,
nah.
Oh,
they
God.
still seem like a scroll to me, bro.
Nah.
Oh, God. I don't know about that one.
That's that version of Cap. I just can't. Bro, look, you got to remember that, like, there's this entire run where Cap just was working for Hydra the whole time. And I would love to see it, though. Like, if you're gonna go down that road and take Cyclops down that, I bang with Magneto. This how I get down joint. Yo, you can absolutely
Captain Hydra
Cap down. Oh my God, bro. It was devastating. It was devastating, bro.
What's up, Jerry? That was gonna happen.
Jerry, like,
Jerry, like, right.
What's the word?
Yeah. Right.
Yo, look.
Yeah.
I do think this is a really good episode.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. Again, it's doing what it's supposed to do, which is making me look more and more forward to the next episode.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So let's do it again. Sin, what's your score for this episode?
I'm still at 8.5.
Yeah.
Still at 8.5.
Adam.
Yeah, but you should know that 8.5 is like very high. Like, I don't, a 10 is like rare. So 8.5 is like
super rare with me.
Yeah, 8.5 is means I really like the episode.
Yeah,
Jerry?
I'm still at 9.5. This thing, it just feels good. It feels right.
I agree.
And Rogue chucking that shield.
Yeah, that was so cool.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah.
If I had time, I would really start digging into what else Jerry gives a 9.5 to start like weighing.
Go that jokes path. Like, okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like weighing the weight. Because like if this is a 9.5, then episode 5 has to be a 10.
Right.
Yeah, I'm saying 5 is a 10.
And if this episode is that close to that episode, either there's no fire left in this show, or every episode coming got to be like it has to be,
10.
bro. You know what I'm saying? So here's where I'm at.
Yeah.
I'm still at like a 7.5.
Yeah,
7.5. Okay.
It's cool. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
A 7.5 for me is expectation based. This is the calm before the storm.
Yeah.
Like Storm ain't come back yet. Xavier ain't come back yet.
Yeah, it's a
There's
mess.
a lot left to happen in
I
3
can't wait.
episodes, bruh.
Yeah.
And so
No,
this to me is
it's
like
only 2, right?
It's
Only
3.
2 episodes.
it's 3. There's 10.
3 left.
3.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We have 8, 9, and 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how math works. It's all good. So, yeah. So like a strong 7.5.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I enjoyed it. It's not bad at all. I recommend it. It is this episode, like episode 5. That for me is required viewing. I don't care if you watch any of the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Episode 5 is required viewing.
That's a 10.
This is an episode that like doesn't hold anything if you haven't seen episode 5. Like it doesn't mean the same thing if you haven't been watching, if you're you know what I'm saying, if you're not there. So it doesn't hit as high for me. Where like when we talked about episode 5, it was like, dog, if you watch episode 5, you will automatically go see what else happened already. You know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna go back to it. It's required reading, required viewing. This episode isn't that unless you've already seen 5.
I get that.
You know what I'm saying?
I get that.
And so that's why that's where I am on it. That's what puts it at like a 7.5. You know what I'm saying? For me, is because like something.
It's an important bridge episode to
right.
Put in my other obsession, Thrones, before the Red Wedding, which is like the one everybody knows and watch. The episode before that is just an episode where the characters are getting to that place.
Right. That's
not a memorable episode. It's not something people think about, but it's a damn good episode, and you really need it to understand what's happens.
Coming. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
So, and every great show has to have episodes like this. So that's why I can't episode 2 was a 9.5 for me because that was like some of the best television I've seen. Episode 5 is a 10. And that's how my rating system go. I get where you got it. I know what you. I know. I get you though, Jerry.
Right. Like, I mean, for me, like, I mean, I can come out and say I'm completely biased. So, like, I don't even know if it's worth listening to my opinion. But
no, it's totally worth it.
Like for me, it's about it's like I gauge each episode like just a quality thing, right? So like not like Gage, I really like what you're saying about how you're ranking the episodes, like that totally makes sense. But like to me, it's just a quality thing. So like I feel like this episode comes out swinging, and it does all the things that it needs to do. And at no point while I'm watching this episode was I like, I wonder what's going on in my phone. You know what I mean?
It never lets go. Once you're in, it never lets you go. Like that's a real thing, and I'm not mad about that at all.
Yeah, me either.
All right, look, I'm looking forward to getting with you gentlemen and talking next week.
Let's do it.
See what happens. I appreciate all y'all's time. One time before we get out of here, let's find out where we can find you all. I'm gonna start with you, Jerry. How do the people find you?
The Franchize Art on Instagram and good old Google, Jerry Gaylord. Find me. I'm there.
That's it. Make sure y'all follow that guy. Adam, talk to us.
It's right there, MSR_Adam. I got a link tree in there. Take you to my YouTube. You can watch one of those. You can watch Sneaks in the City. You can watch The Butler Did It.
Yeah, my man is a real sneakerhead. I'm gonna just throw this out there. I just copped them Ninja Turtle Adidas, the shell toes.
Nice.
Oh, did you?
Nice. Yeah,
nice.
I couldn't help it. It was you know. That's where we are. Geeks in this realm. All right, y'all. So look, until next episode of Spoiler Boys, we look forward to seeing y'all there. Let us know what y'all thought about the episode. Let us know how you feel about what happened in this episode and how do you rank your episodes? You know what I'm saying? I'd love to hear it. Let us know that. We're out of here. Toodles and loose.
All right.
Loading snacks.
All right, man. So
fun.
Yeah.
Great conversation with y'all.